What question has someone asked you that secretly broke your heart?
I have a stutter. When I was a kid I had to read a page of a book to the class. I stuttered, and the teacher said, "Can you even read?" And that beep broke my 13-year-old heart. No one takes stuttering seriously.
I was like 22 and it was probably 10 p.m. or so at a Walmart. I was on my way to a party and stopped for beer. The store was fairly empty, and as I was in the beer aisle, I see this kid completely by himself. He was about 5, and at first I thought it was kind of funny because he was trying to pick up a case of beer. I waited like 30 to 60 seconds, looking around for this kid's mom/dad to come get him. A couple people walked right by him like it was normal, so then I started getting worried. I picked up my 2 cases of beer and walked over and kindly asked him if he lost his mom or needed help. The kid completely ignored the question and instead was thoroughly impressed that I was strong enough to carry 2 cases of beer. Eventually an employee noticed and came over as well. I told her everything I knew and she took over and told him that she was going to bring him to find his mom. As he was walking away he kept looking back at me and I smiled and said goodbye. The kid stopped and said, "Can I just come home with you? I don't like my mom." I was caught off guard, so I just laughed and told him the lady was going to help him. Now I'll never know the full story, or what happened to him, but the more I think about it, that kid more than likely had a pretty beat childhood. I mean, the store wasn't busy and it was late at night on a weekday. It really makes you wonder why he was there in the first place, how he got separated from his mom, and why would he ask to go with a complete stranger instead of worrying about where his mom was. It still makes me sad. Hope everything worked out for the little dude.
Said bye to grandma before leaving the house. About 20 seconds later, after saying bye to everyone else, she asks, "When are you going to say bye to me?" She died 2 weeks after that.
I was having fertility problems and couldn't get pregnant after 4 years of trying. A child once asked me, "Do you think there just aren't any babies who want you to be their mother?"
You've never beaten me or told me I couldn't do something. Is that normal? My first girlfriend told me that. I have never felt such a wave of anger, sadness, and heartbreak wash over me like I did when I heard that.
A few years ago I was at a small family gathering. We had them fairly often. Just me, my siblings, parents and nieces and nephew. I remember going out the back for a cigarette and my niece asked, "Why are you always sad?" She would have been about 6 at the time. I was going through a horrendous mental period that involved a lot of alcohol, medication, and sleepless nights. Of course I told her I was fine, just a little tired from working hard. I remember thinking about that interaction the rest of the night.
As we passed the toy aisle at the store, "I know you don't have much money right now, but maybe when you get some we could come back and get a toy?" I was not doing well financially back then and my daughter brought me to tears in the middle of the store.
My ex asked me what I liked to do with my family growing up. Made me realize my family never did anything together and I literally had no answer to such a basic question.
First day of preschool for my 3-year-old son. The first time he would ever be away from mom and dad at the same time. I brought him to the room and expected a meltdown, but instead he confidently strutted, and I do mean strutted, into the classroom. 3 hours later, I picked him up. He was okay until we got to the car, when he said, in quiet sad voice, "L thought you were coming with," followed by an even sadder, quieter, "Why did you leave me?"
Being asked by my grandma who I was because I wasn't her granddaughter. And when my best friend asked why I ever thought we were friends. The first broke my heart, but I understood it wasn't malicious, she had Alzheimer's. The second one has caused lasting trust issues and a very difficult time making friends.
When I worked in a juvenile residential drug rehab, a 12-year-old asked me why everyone had a problem with her boyfriend. He was 32. She had been so mistreated and abused, she legitimately couldn't comprehend the problem everyone had with their relationship.
During college, parents took a friend and I out to dinner. Very normal dinner, chit-chatted about whatever. After we left and were walking back to my car, he turns to me and says, "Is that what a normal relationship is like?" We talked more after that. I had met his parents a few times and they seemed strict but never seemed to have a terrible relationship. Turned out apparently his dad had cheated on his mom multiple times. Dad had zero respect for any of my friend's sisters and essentially expected them to do all the housework while the men did guy stuff. Hunting, training for sports, school, etc. Turned out his childhood was pretty beat. Dad was never around, and he had to essentially be the father figure in the house. As the oldest child, Never really saw a normal loving relationship that he could look up to. My friend is a really nice guy, still has some messed up views of relationships though. I never realized how abnormal my very normal family/childhood was.
My grandmother leaned to me and asked, "Did Dan die?" We were at a family gathering and she didn't see my Uncle Dan. He had passed away the previous year. Grandma's descent into dementia was in the very early stages. There were several layers of heartbreak.
Why do you sound like that? Is that your real voice? Mean girl training me on the phones at work? And I was so confident on my phone voice, sad face.
Not heartbroken but close to it. A few years back, my friend and I were shopping in the makeup section of a store and the sales lady was making small talk. She asked me if I was buying products for myself or my daughter. She mistook my friend, who was actually a couple of years older than me, as my daughter. My friend was super embarrassed and I acted all nonchalant but was kind of sad.
Oh, are you the girl with the hot sister?
Can I wish for my sister? A 10-year-old student of mine whose big sister died 4 years ago. We were working on an activity about dreams and aspirations for their futures.
We were watching the movie The Martian. About 3/4 of the way through, my GF turns to me and asks if this really happened.
I finally got out of an abusive relationship after many years. When I finally did, my mom said, "You're a hard person to like and nobody else will love you. Do you really think you deserve better?"
I have a stutter and people always ask me why I'm so quiet. It hurts because I want to be social, but whenever I try I tend to be ignored or cut off halfway through my sentence, like I want to be social and speak to people but it's almost impossible for me.
When the vet said, "Your cat has an inoperable cancerous tumor. The kindest thing you can do to end his suffering is to put him to sleep. Do you wish to do this?"
I work at a primary school supporting kids in class. I've had kids ask me, why do I keep trying with them? Clearly they are useless and dumb. Why do they have to be such a bad, naughty kid? Even one asked me, why do I like that kid? They are so bad. I have 1,000,001 answers that suit the situation, but it breaks my heart, especially when the bad kid in question is actually a very sweet child who has a really rough start to life and because of that makes poor choices. I cried with joy when the kid was invited to their first birthday party. Edit. I've loved reading your stories and appreciation for teachers, those who educate. I didn't expect any of the responses to this comment when I made it. Kids only need that one person to listen, to believe and to care for them to achieve. I mean, how many famous people credit an important person for believing, pushing them to succeed?
Not directly to my face, but my mom has been asked quite often if I was adopted, because I look absolutely nothing like her. I look like a female version of my dad. The only reason it pains me a bit is because my mom almost died while giving birth to me, and she went through a ton of complications and surgeries, just to have people question it all. Having said that, I have nothing against adoption BTW. I fully support and encourage it.
I was at Cold Stone with my friends who are married. I ordered my thing and went over to the cashier and they asked me, "Are you alone?" And for some reason it just cut deep. They didn't mean anything by it, but in that moment I realized that I felt so alone, even surrounded by friends. Then I had ice cream and felt better.
My 5-year-old niece. Why am I so ugly that mommy doesn't love me?
Is your friend single?
What's your name again? I knew this beep for 4 years.
My teacher told me, do you have friends?
May your day be filled with joy and happiness. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe for more quality content every day.